All right, hi.
Hey, Mr. Stan. This is both a thank you and then a question. First of all, thank you for the characters of Spider-Man and the Hulk, because when I was a teenager, you see, I have Asperger's syndrome, but back then I didn't know, and so I had anger issues and didn't realize what it was about and everything. So the Hulk, kind of helped me try to control myself, and Spider-Man, because he was always an outcast, that kind of helped me deal with that. Plus, Aunt May kind of reminded me of my grandma, so a lot of times, sometimes I would just take some tips from Peter Parker and do certain things, and I'd always get my grandma to smile. So just thank you for those characters. They really helped me out.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And the question that I have is, okay, about a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, you got to reimagine the DC characters of Superman, Batman, Justice League, Wonder Woman, all those people. And I just wanted to ask you, what were some of the thought process you went through, since they were definitely so different from the originals?
You mean the series that I did for DC? What if Stan Lee had created the characters? The thought process I went through was I was sorry I had taken that assignment. No, because those characters were really perfect the way they were. And it's very hard to think of a way to improve something. I mean, I don't think Superman could have been any more perfect than he was.
Agreed.
If you're creating a super character and there's never been any, and you decide to let him come from another planet, and he lands here, and because the gravity is different there, here it's easier for him to jump. And oh, by the way, originally Superman could jump over a high building. I would like to know how he gained the power to fly. I never understood it. Hold this for a moment.
All he did was go like this, and he's flying.
So I have a bone to pick with them about that. But it was tough to really improve on them. The only one I think I made much better than the original was, what's the name of the one who runs fast?
The Flash.
The Flash. I think I did a better Flash, and I don't remember what I did, but I remember thinking it was better.
Yes, they were. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
It could have been Quicksilver. I don't know. He was an Avenger. Quicksilver?
Yeah.
You remember?
That's right. What about him?
Nothing.
He's looking for a fight.
Where are we? On this side? Hello.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank you, like everyone else. Spider-Man was like a huge influence in my life. Me and my grandfather would actually watch the old cartoon together, and my mom cried with tears when she found out Miles Morales was like Hispanic and black, because there was like no Hispanic people for her to look up to.
Hold it a minute, because there was a what? What did you say? There was a what for people to look up? Okay, go ahead. I wanted to be sure I heard you.
Anyways, I'm a huge fan of American comics and Japanese comics as well. And in 2014, there was like an Avengers crossover with a Japanese comic. Do you think that there's any possibility for Marvel to do more of those in the future?
There's always that possibility, but they keep so busy with their own characters now. I don't know how they get around to it. I did a manga, what did I do? Hero Man or something like that. It's something, it's still being sold, I think. Very good, I couldn't understand. I wrote it, and I couldn't understand it. But I like Japanese comics. They have their own style. They are so different from American ones. And I like anything that has its own particular identity. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did.
Thank
you. All right, let's go over this side. Let's make sure we get straight to the question, okay? We got a lot of people in line.
It's been really cool watching the Marvel Universe wash over the earth yet again with the new movie series all movies coming out. The cameos that you've done, what would you say is your favorite cameo? And if you have a story around that or a favorite set story, that'd be awesome.
My favorite cameo, all right. I'm gonna confess. I did a cameo in Thor, where I'm standing at a bar, I think, next to Thor, and he's drinking an Asgardian drink.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, hey, give me a sip. He said, you can't drink this, it's too strong. Well, you may not have thought of it, so I'm going to tell you something you never thought of. It's my favorite cameo because it's the first cameo that has 2 scenes. So I'm hoping at the next few cameos, some director will remember that one and say, I can do better than that, I'll give them 3 scenes. Who knows, they may end up with the whole movie coming around for you.
That would be great, the Stan Lee movie. With Stan Lee, the movie. That would be...
I like that too.
You like that? All right. Royalties. Yeah, I think we're on that side. Hi.
Hi. So, I might be the only one that remembers this, but years ago you did a reality TV show called Who Wants to Be a Superhero?
Right.
What I want to know is how that got started, like whose idea that show was, and if you had any favorite moments from filming a reality show like that.
Well, I'm going to disappoint you. And I hate disappointing the true believer. I do not remember how we started it. I got the idea from somewhere, I guess. Maybe somebody suggested it to me. I just don't remember. And what was the second part of the question?
Sir, can you repeat that one?
If you had any favorite moments while filming that show or anything that...
That's another problem. I don't remember. It was so long ago. There was a woman in it who played Fat Mama or something like that, who was a superheroine too. And I think my favorite moment was trying to make the audience believe that she was a superheroine. And she was a very nice lady, and we had a lot of fun with these things, but I can't, it was so, I have no memory, I gotta tell you. You know the reason, I'm gonna prove to you what a bad memory I have. You may wonder why most of the characters I created had the first initial and their first name and their last name, like Peter Parker and so many others. And the reason is, if I could remember one name, I knew the other name began with the same letter, and it helped me to remember. For a writer, I really have the worst memory in the world. And I think we got off the question.
No, you
I got out of it somehow,
no,
safely.
You answered. That's brilliant, though. I didn't think of that myself. J. Jonah Jameson.
That's right. My great triumph, J. Jonah Jameson.
There was some great actors that actually portrayed J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man, so congratulations on that one. Okay, we're going good, guys. Hi, we're on this side of the room.
Hey, Stan. You created everything I love. Thank you. But anyway, so you mentioned having multiple scenes. I've got a question. Are you the Watcher in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because there was a scene at the end of Guardians with you sitting next to all the Watchers. Are you a Watcher?
I don't like an ordinary civilian to probe a question of such magnitude. I am not permitted to give you a definite answer, but let me say, in some strange way, you're on the right track.
That is, in fact, the closest answer we got out of him on any spoiler, so that was pretty good. Okay, hi, on this side.
Hey, Silly, it's Spider-Man. Just wondering when I'm going to join the Avengers.
Spider-Man will the Avengers?
No, but seriously, Mr. Stanley, you created all the characters that I loved as a kid and still love today. And as a writer myself, I do want to ask, when you're going through your storylines or your characters and you're trying to make a new story, what goes through your head? How do you come out with the story that you will make?
Yeah, I wish I could think of an answer to that. The same way you do, or the same way anyone else does. You sit down and you say, I've got to write a story. So the first thing you think of is, who is the story about? Let's say it's going to be about Daredevil. So, okay, Daredevil is blind. So I got to think of a story that involves his blindness and where in some way he can use it to help him catch the bad guy, or in some way it causes him to be in trouble and he's got to find a way to save himself. And you just start thinking of all the things that might happen, and you pick the one that interests you the most, and you start writing it. And I don't know what else to tell you. One thing I will tell you, a lot of writers say they write stories for people from 25 to 35. Or they write stories for people from 18 to 22, or whatever it is. I have never thought I write stories for any special group of people. I like to feel I'm writing stories for me. And if I enjoy the story that I'm writing, there must be millions of people with the same taste that I have. So, it's easier to please yourself and put down something that you say, wow, this is great. I didn't know I could write so good. Look how exciting this is. Oh boy, I can't wait till I see the end. If you can get that excited about what you're writing, the chances are the readers might feel the same way, because we're all pretty similar. You talk about similarity. All of you here seem to love the Marvel characters. So you're all similar in that sense. Some of you are older, some of you are younger, some of you are black, white, yellow, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So I think I got off the subject. What I was trying to say is, when you write, please yourself. Write something that you think is great, and the chances are you're not that unique. I'm not that unique. There must be a lot of people like me, and they'll like the story too. End of lecture.
Wow! Those were some very, very wise words.
Naturally.
I think where are we? On this side, I think? Or the other side? There you go, we're on this side. Hello.
Hi, Mr. Reed. I'd like to thank you first for all of your contributions to fiction, and I was wondering, what changes do you like that the films have made, and what changes do you dislike?
So what changes did I make? Would I make to any film? Oh, I wouldn't change any films. Any film that's out there, any story that's out there is the product of somebody's imagination and somebody's work. That's the way he wanted it or they wanted it. I wouldn't change it. If I had to write something like it, I would write something completely different using those characters. I would never try to change what another writer writes. I would just maybe try to write something totally different about the characters, which is probably a very unsatisfying answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the gentleman that just asked that question is, with the motion pictures, of course, that is in the hands of totally different writers. Stan basically served as executive producers on all of the Marvel films, so I'm sure his input was there, but like he had just described, you know, he's got a little bit of, respect for the writers and what they put down on paper.
I have to also confess why it's a little difficult for us sometimes. I can hear perfectly. Every one of you that talks, I hear you, but I have a very strange affliction. even though I can hear, somehow or other the words don't come in clearly to me. So you may say, Stan, what's your favorite character? And I'll hear, Stan, what's your favorite character? And I turn to you, what did he say? And that's why I do that. It's not that I'm not listening or paying attention, but I've got this stupid hearing thing. It's the clarity that I don't have. I have the sound, but it's hard for me to tell what the words are. So thank you for helping. Thank you for being patient.
Awesome. Okay, next question on this side.